I want to go. We have a special guest, and to me, it is unfathomable that this man wasn't on the stage for the first debate. And we're joined right now by Governor Jim Gilmore, former governor of the state of Virginia, of course. He's president of the Free Congress Foundation and a 2016 Republican presidential candidate. Governor, thank you for joining us, sir.
Good. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to your listeners.
All right, well, why on earth were you not on a stage that had only 4 people? Certainly overcrowding wasn't the issue.
I just think it's inexplicable. CNN should have invited me to their debate because I think I would have made a contribution to the discussion. They said that, I wasn't polling, but the fact of the matter is that I have been showing up in the polls. They invited people to debate that I am exceeding in the polls. They changed their rules to help Carly Fiorina, but not for me. But, none of this really matters. If they had no obligation of fairness to me or anybody else other than the American people. And for me, I've been sitting here watching these debates now for 4 hours, and I really wish I had had an opportunity to say some things, but don't worry about it. My campaign goes on. I've been in New Hampshire now 9 times, including this past weekend, and my ideas will come out, and I think they'll probably come out in a more cogent way than we've seen tonight on any of these debates.
Before we go to Joe and Rick, I want to ask you, what have you been watching tonight? I mean, I hate to have you weigh in on your competitors. Maybe what question had you jumping through the television saying, oh, I really wish I was there for that one?
Well, all of them, really. But I think that if I had to make one general comment, and this is the first comment I've made because the debate's still going on.
Right.
It seems to me that an awful lot of it is superficial. There's a lot of talk about, well, we have to have jobs, but no real depth of discussion about what we need to do and what a president would lead towards. On the Iran issue, I certainly disapprove of the deal, just like everybody else. That's not particularly enlightening. But the question is, who has the experience to address the mess that we're in now in terms of Iran? In terms of the overall confrontation and position of America with respect to Russia and China and the dissolution of the Middle East and the danger of terrorism, it's all very superficial. But I guess with 11 candidates on the stage, it's going to be superficial. I think the duty is on a candidate to really offer the American people some insight as to what kind of leadership they would have, not just say leadership, but to explain what leadership really means. And I'm not sure that I've really seen that so far.
Joe Concha has a question.
I wish I was there to make a contribution to this debate.
It would have been nice. It would have been nice. Joe Concha has a question for you.
Governor, I'm just curious, since you announced your run for presidency 2 months ago, you haven't had any campaign events solo, and I'm just curious why you haven't got in front of the...
Excuse me, just a minute. You're mimicking what the Washington Post said, and that is a
That's where I read it. That's correct.
Yeah, so that's not true.
So you have had campaign rallies and events where you've made speeches in front of a certain amount of people.
Certainly. I have been repeatedly out there campaigning. Now, look, I haven't bothered to do a theater where I've tried to invite just Gilmore people to come in and rah-rah my speeches. I have instead gone to events where people have invited me to go and speak as a presidential candidate on behalf of the major issues in this campaign. If you read the Post, they were very cute. What they said was, well, in the last 3 weeks since you've been an announced candidate, you haven't done an event of your own. That's far different from saying that has now been extrapolated to, well, you're not campaigning, and that is a falsehood, and I'm not going to let anybody get away with it.
That's where I read it in the Washington Post, so thanks for clarifying the record.
Rick Unger?
Governor, I know you were watching. I wonder your reaction to the fact that while everybody on the stage was predictably more than willing to support the idea of defunding Planned Parenthood, every single one of them refused to actually answer the question regarding would you support a government shutdown over Planned Parenthood. What was your take on that, and what's your opinion on that?
Well, first of all, I think that Planned Parenthood should not be funded. Look, I'm going to be straight with you. I'm not a person that believes that we shut down the government over any issue. I think that we, in fact, put pressure on people who are in Congress, particularly the Democrats, by speaking to the people of the United States about these issues. And if they decide they want the government to go on over the Planned Parenthood thing, then I think you take that into the campaign and into the election. Now, it's fine to sit up and decry what Planned Parenthood is and what they did, but frankly, I haven't seen any really good solutions come out of the debate that are practical and something that can help us win this election based on that issue.
Governor Gilmore, Brad Hirschfield, very quickly, you mentioned the need for substance. I agree with you completely. With respect to Iran, that deal is all but assured right now, at least for the short term. So 2 questions. Over the 18 months that remain in this administration, what can be done to counterbalance the impact of this deal? And over the long term, how would you deal with it as president?
You know, and of course I spoke the other day on Capitol Hill against this agreement. But the truth is that the president is going to put this into place. And then the next president is going to have to address where we are at that time, what the status is, and what we can do about it. Now, I went to England just recently and met with a leader of the Tory government, and they asked me, they said, oh, why did the president enter into this agreement? And my answer was largely because of you guys. You have allowed him to say that you wouldn't continue to support the United States on sanctions, and they were dumbfounded. And they said, well, no, we would always stand by the United States if they took a position that was in their national interest. So the bottom line is this. I have a long history of dealing on foreign policy issues. I chaired the National Commission on Terrorism for the United States for 5 years. I was the governor during the 9/11 attack. And there is no veteran on this stage I'm watching right now, not one. And I am a veteran of the United States Army intelligence during the Cold War. So what am I going to do? I am the only one that has proposed a direction following this presidency. And that is that we have to go to work to build a Middle East NATO to begin to draw people together for a common purpose. And what are those purposes? Number one, to restrain the Iranian expansion and to make sure that they abide by any agreement that we've reached. And if not, get rid of the agreement. Begin to work our way out of this agreement. And then number two, use that same group to begin to address the ISIS problem that we've got. Now, unfortunately, we haven't created that kind of NATO, and now the Russians, anticipating the fact that the Gilmore presidency might actually create a restraining NATO, has already now begun to inject troops into Syria.
Right.
This is most dangerous. I think Russia is the most dangerous foreign policy problem we're facing. And frankly, I have seen hardly anything addressed about it in this debate.
Governor, very briefly, 2 questions about the debate. Did you protest to CNN about this in advance?
Oh, sure, because because it just didn't make any sense. We were actually polling, we were showing the kind of criteria that were going to be necessary. When they started to turn us down, that was one thing. But when they changed all the rules for Carly Fiorina, we said, well, fine, then you're going to obviously be for open debate. They said no. So then when Rick Perry dropped out, we said, well, where's the harm, guys? You're going to have 4 people on the stage. Let me come in. I've addressed the issues. I've been campaigning vigorously in New Hampshire and beyond. And they frankly didn't return my phone call. So, the point is this. It doesn't do any good to whine about CNN. And I'm not doing that. What I am saying is that I want to add my voice of experience and qualifications and substance to the debate. I want to explain how we're going to create jobs and higher wages. I want to explain what the framework ought to be to face the serious dangers that we're facing in the international community.
Understood.
I think there is a serious crisis ahead of us, and frankly, there is not experience on this stage to address it.
Governor, great talking to you, and we certainly hope you make it into the next debate, sir.
Well, I'm going to keep campaigning to carry my strategy, and I'm not going to worry about news media people that are trying to select the candidates. I'm going to go out there and present myself to the people of the United States.
Gotcha. Governor Jim Gilmore, thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, gentlemen.
All right. Very interesting that CNN wouldn't return his people's calls. You're certainly a man that I consider to be an expert when it comes to media and other things. Mm-hmm. Kind of strange, no?
Show the man some respect.
Yeah.
All right. He's a presidential candidate. He's a governor of Virginia. All right. He's served this country, and despite the fact that he's not polling very high, he's exactly right. Rick Perry drops out. Why not put him on that stage?
And where's our friend Governor Pataki and where's Graham? I mean, how much more could they have in the polls than he has?
At least return the phone.
Yeah.